All right, well, it's 6:35. Let's go ahead and get started. Others can kind of catch up when they come in. So first of all, I just want to say hi to everybody and thank you so much for taking the time to join us for the presentation this evening. And for those of you, maybe not everyone knows both of us, so I just want to introduce myself. I'm Annette Carlson, and my business partner is Jamie Earle. So wave, Jamie, because everybody can see that. There we go. So we're owners of Carlson Early Group June Vacations, and we've had our travel agency franchise for just 4 years, and we just celebrated our 4-year anniversary. And we both had the opportunity to sail on an AMA River cruise on the Danube last March. And I mean, I don't know what else to say except we just loved it. And when you love something, you want to be able to share that with other people that you know. So that's what we're doing here tonight. We're excited to have you learn about AMA Waterways, their offerings, and then especially about our iconic Christmas markets on the Danube Group River Cruise. We're going to be hosting and traveling on December 9th of 2022, so 2 years from now.
Yes, and we are very excited to have with us on our call today Sebastian Leroy. You might notice Sebastian, you can wave.
Good evening, everyone.
Lucky enough to be sitting in the south of France, I think, is where you are.
It's almost that. That's northern France, but that's
well, you know, north, south, whatever. He is from Marseille, France. I wanted to tell you a little bit about his background. He studied foreign languages and oenology, which is the study of wine making and history of wine. And he combines his dual passions by working alternatively as a cruise manager with AMA and a winemaker in Germany. He is fluent in French, English, German, and I read you're still working on Spanish. How's that going?
That's I think my daughter learns faster than I do, but that's okay.
So 4 or 5 languages, I don't know. He's been with AMA since 2012. He is our business development manager, and we are very fortunate to have him on this call. He's very knowledgeable about all things AMA.
Thank you very much, Annette. Thank you, Jamie. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for joining us tonight. Yeah, as you just heard, my name is Sébastien Leroy, and tonight I'm very happy to be able to take you again. I mean, on the Danube. I mean, Annette and Jamie have been there, but we will go there at a different time of the year. So you will see that this river and this area of the world is absolutely magnificent. I mean, I guess every area of the world is magnificent when you look at it the right way. But this part is absolutely amazing. And so I would like to start this presentation first, again, by thanking everyone for being here, because we know it's the end of the day. And we always appreciate when people take the time, especially to listen to us and to also discover new destinations. So I think I will start by presenting you who is AMA Waterway, who are we? Because many guests when they come for the first time, or many people on the presentation, they have almost never heard of us. I mean, actually, that's the reason why Annette and Jamie are here, is because we work with our travel partners. I mean, the company doesn't advertise. We've been here for quite a while, because we just had our actually 18th anniversary, and we do not do direct sailing. We only work with our travel partners. It's always been like this since 2002, and it's not going to change, because we know that the travel partners, once they know our product, they also know how to promote it, and they also know how to really make sure that you as travelers will enjoy it. So let's start a little bit. I mean, let's start with the beginning. Let's say. What would be the difference between an ocean cruise, for those of you who might have been on an ocean cruise, and a river cruise? And I really love this picture and this sentence, because I think it says it all. Because an ocean cruise, of course, will take you to a country, meaning that you will go along the coast of a country, and then sometimes, I mean, you will cross ocean, so you will have days at sea. And I like to say that on a river you have sea days, but not SEA, SEE. Because you really have you really have different sceneries every day. There is and you have different ports. You will spend a lot of time in these ports. I think that's a very big difference. On the ocean, The ship itself is the adventure. I mean, here, the destinations, the places where you go are what you're coming for, actually. When you look at this place here, I mean, I don't know if anybody has an idea where that is, but that's another river in Europe. It's the Rhine River. That's actually, if we look here, where you have the cursor, you see this very spot that I'm just showing here. That's the narrowest part of the Rhine in its middle section. It's the Lorelei rock, if you've ever heard of the Lorelei, and that's also another beautiful area to discover. So who knows? After going on the Danube second cruise, that could be here on this Lorelei, in this Lorelei area on the Rhine. Now, we are a river cruise line, as I said. We've been around for 18 years, and that's thanks to these folks here. So three persons, two of them were actually the founders. The gentleman on the left, Rudi Schreiner, our CEO, founder of AMA Waterways, and his really brilliant wife. I mean, not that Rudi is not brilliant, don't get me wrong, Christine. And so these two have been in the river cruise industry for quite a while, actually. I mean, Rudi, you might not have heard of him, but you might have heard of some companies he actually has been the CEO of. One of them being Viking. So I'm sure everybody has heard of Viking River Cruises, and now just Viking. But also he was the president of another one called the Uniworld. And he decided in 2002 with Christine that they wanted to have their own product, to have their own project. And what they did is that they had a second family, a friend actually, who was the father of the gentleman you see on the right, and Jimmy Murphy joined them, and they created AMA Waterways. And 18 years later, the great thing is that it's still completely family owned and operated. I mean, as a matter of fact, I was on the phone with Gary a couple of hours ago. I guess that's the great thing when you have a family-owned company like this. When there is something, even if the company grows, when you know them for such a long time, everybody takes the time, because it's not really a company. It's more a family affair, and everybody treats the company like our own baby. The great thing that we have, I mean, now we have 23 cruise ships in Europe, in Southeast Asia, and also in Africa. What I want to say about these 23 cruise ships, and that's something that is very important these days, because we hear about the financial situation of companies, I mean, left and right. And of course, these have been very difficult months for everyone in this industry. But we carry absolutely no debt on the ship. They're all paid off. Actually, the 10 last cruise ships that we've built have been paid cash. And even the 3 next ones that are coming next year, they are already paid cash as well. So that's a really good thing, to be able to navigate these times without any debt. And now when we talk about navigating these times, that's our map. That's the world of AMA Waterways nowadays. And we will take you today in actually this area of the world. So this one that I'm circling here, that's the upper Danube, and that's where you have, with the Rhine River, that's really where you have the most beautiful Christmas markets in Europe. But you see, we are also present on the Douro River in Portugal, and you see that the Douro, of course, goes all the way into Spain. But this area here, as soon as you reach the border, and the Douro actually is the natural border for a while, but these are mountains. So as soon as you reach Vega de Toron, you cannot continue. Then we're present here in the Bordeaux area. So I don't know if anybody likes wine, but if we have a few people who like wine, this can be a very good area to discover, because the Bordeaux wines are very, very famous in France. And we are there on 3 rivers. Actually, let's say 2 and 1 and estuary. The Dordogne River, the Garonne right here, and Bordeaux, the city of Bordeaux is located there, and the Gironde estuary. Then you have the Seine River in Normandy. You have here 2 other rivers, the Rhône and the Saône River. That would take you into Burgundy, beautiful area of the world as well. Then the one starting from the very top here in the Netherlands and then going all the way down to Switzerland, that's the Rhine River. The little one here, the Moselle, absolutely wonderful river, very narrow, very windy river. and small villages. I mean, beautiful. Everything is medieval. I mean, there is really a lot of things to discover. After that, the Main River, and this one here. So basically, if we go from the city of Bamberg down to actually the village of Kelheim, it's so small, it's not even on the map. That's the Main-Danube Canal, and we will go partly on the Main-Danube Canal in a few minutes. The Main-Danube Canal is completely man-made, and it's very modern because it was actually completed in 1992. The first attempt to basically link, and the whole idea behind the Main-Danube Canal is to be able to link the North Sea to the Black Sea, so to connect the Rhine and the Danube rivers. And the first attempt was approximately 1200 years ago. Charlemagne was the first one attempting this. Did not work very well at the time, but nowadays with the technology, we have the possibility to have this beautiful marvel of architecture that is the Main-Danube Canal. And then this one, all the way to the Black Sea, is the Danube River. Then you see here on the Mekong. So if we look at the right corner of the or the right part of the map, the Mekong River, so Vietnam and Cambodia. Then we have in Africa between Botswana, so northern Botswana and also Namibia. We have the Chobe River. So Chobe River, very small river, absolutely amazing for safaris. And there, I can tell you, if you're interested in another cruise in the future, ask Annette and ask Jamie, because when I say that this one is unique, it's so unique, there is actually one ship only on the river, and it's ours. Nobody else is allowed. So that's a great thing. And where are we going 2021? We are going to go to Egypt on a brand new ship, the Amadalia. So now let's talk a little bit about these ships, about what we have. So I told you about our fleet, and the fleet you see is expanding next year. If we look here, 2021, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, 3 new ships. Of course, by 2020, yeah, everything got put on hold a little bit, but that's okay. 2021, we are starting again, and everything will be beautiful. And actually, when I say 2021, we're starting again, we have started already. We are cruising since July 5th. We have our beautiful Ana Cristina cruising with guests. So at the moment, we are only cruising with European guests, but it's working very, very well. And actually, I can even tell you before the question arises, how many? Because it always comes. People say, "How many COVID cases have you had?" 0. So that's a very easy answer. 0, absolutely no COVID cases since July 5th, which shows that all the safety protocols that we had thought about and that we've implemented work very well. As you can see here, there is plexiglass where need be. We ask our guests to wear at the moment, and you know that this will change, and we keep following all the safety directives given by the local authorities, may they be European or American. At the moment, we ask our guests to wear masks. So we ask our guests to wear masks where the physical distancing is not possible. So what does that mean? This means that when you're in the corridor where you have the staterooms, where you have the cabins, for example, there you don't have, and we don't have corridors that are 15 feet wide. So that's where we ask our guests to wear a mask. Same thing when you go to the lounge or when you go in one of the dining rooms. There we will ask you, as long as you're not seated, to wear a mask. And that's pretty much what you do when you go in a restaurant nowadays. If some of you have been in a restaurant already, that's what everybody asks. You wear a mask, and then when you're seated, obviously you can then take off the mask, because we all know now that it's much easier to eat without or drink without the mask. Now when you are seated, how does that look? It looks like this. So I know this picture can be a little confusing. Don't worry, because when I see the plexiglass in the middle and these people cheering like this, it can look a little bizarre. But actually, the reason behind this picture is to really show that we have separations between groups of tables. We actually had the 2 people who you see on the left of the picture, the blonde lady and this gentleman. If you think about, these are the same that we see here. we asked them to come and join us because they love the product so much. They love this new way of cruising so much that since July 5th, that's already their third cruise. They've done 3 cruises with us because they love it so much. So they said, we asked them, would you like to be on the pictures so that you can promote really the safety? Now, it is very important to know that everything, of course, is sanitized. If you have concerns as well, because we've heard, but that's more ocean liner related. We don't really have this issue on a river cruise ship about the air, about the recirculation of the air. You won't find that on a river cruise ship, at least not on ours, because we have a single way system. So this means that each and every cabin has its own air conditioning system with the air pulled out from the outside and then re-ejected immediately. We don't recycle the air. So that's a great news because you stop the propagation or you actually avoid the propagation of any form of virus. Now, the crew is absolutely amazing, that's for sure. And actually, what I want to show you, so Captain Ron, who is here on our Ama Cristina, I just want to show you behind him. You see here, you see the corridor. So that's what I meant with no physical distancing possible, because you will also hear, you won't hear me talking very much about social distancing, because I really don't like this term, because what we're really talking about here is physical distance, so distanciation. And so these folks are here for you. We have a beautiful program when you're coming on board our ships, no matter where you go. And this is actually the ship that you can expect if you decide to go, and I hope you will go with Annette and Jamie on this beautiful trip that will be on the Danube in 2022. And excuse me, just one second. Sometimes if you see me stopping for a second, it's because I'm still admitting guests. I'm sorry about that. So the ship that you see here, the Ama Cristina, is actually the sister ship of the Ama Sonata. So what do we have on board these ships? And what makes us a little bit different from anybody else? The only thing that doesn't make us different from anybody else is the size of the ship, meaning the length and the width. And that's something that you will find everywhere on these rivers, is that the ships cannot be longer than 443 feet long, which means 135 meters. And they will also be 38 feet wide, which means 11 meters and 40. And I know, and you will see, I'm not going to talk too much about other cruise lines because we're not here to talk about others. We're here to talk about what we do. But I know that on TV and in your mailbox, I mean, you receive always the same thing and you see that on TV with the patented long ships. Well, I can tell you that the patented long ships from this brand, starting with a V, they are not any longer than anybody else's, because if you make a ship that is longer than the size I just mentioned to you, the problem is that you cannot fit in the lock. And if you don't fit in the lock, you're not going to go very far on your river cruise. So that's why. After that, the question, when you know that you have a length, you have a width, and obviously you have also the same height, because you need to go under the same bridges. So basically, you know that you have a volume of space that you can use. And the question is, what do you do with this volume? How many guests do we have on board? How many crew members? Do we put one restaurant? Do we put two? Do we have a swimming pool? Can we put a fitness center? Can we put a massage, so a spa? Can we put a hairdresser salon? I can tell you that everything that I've just listed to you, we have it on board the ship. Many others don't. And it starts where? It starts with the number of guests on board. In normal times, and when I say normal time, that's pre and I hope very soon post-COVID, the maximum capacity of our ships is 156 guests. The concurrence goes up to 192. But when you have 36 people less on board one ship, you must, I mean, I see it like this: 36 people less means 18 cabins less, which means all this space, you can use it for something else. And that's where everything comes in. We have these two dining rooms. So we have the main one, of course, but then we have a more private one. You have space everywhere. And that's not something, you know, this idea of luxury of space. That's what everybody talks about now. But that's something we've had in our DNA, I would say, since day one. So there was not, for us, it was not really difficult when the European authorities said, well, you have to reduce the capacity of your ships at the moment to 100 people. since we already had this space, a lot of space for 156, I can tell you that the cruising conditions for you are absolutely amazing. And I will just come back very quickly to the mask, because I was talking about the mask and when you need to wear it. Of course, when you're on the sun deck, and when you see all this area here, you don't need to wear the mask, because with 100 people, I can tell you that you have a ton of space. But we've been, that's something I think very interesting after 10, 11 weeks into the reopening of our cruising activity. We've been able to calculate, and we've had some insight on how long do people wear a mask every day? What's the average time? And so the average time, so there is a little window, and of course it will get refined over time. But the average is between 17 and 21 minutes per day. And when you think about it, that's really not long. I mean, 17 minutes. When you go, let's say that you go to the supermarket, but you're for way longer inside the supermarket than 17 minutes. I mean, unless you go there very shortly every day, but I doubt that's the case for everyone. But that's why it is really not long, because once you're seated, and you can also sit in the front. I mean, in this area of the ship, in this area, when you're cruising and enjoying your little cocktail, you can do that. Once you're in the cities, so then we have, and we will come back on the excursions in a few minutes. But when you're in the cities, but we follow the same rules, and it's very similar to what you have in the United States. People just ask to wear a mask where the public and the physical distancing is not possible. So it is something very, very easy and comfortable to go to Europe, and we really hope that the airlines and that the CDC will open. I mean, it's not really the CDC; it's actually the European Union that will need to give us the authorization. Don't forget that you hear on TV a lot about this travel ban. There is actually no ban. That's a misinformation. What happens in all the case for going to Europe is that you can go, but you would have to quarantine for 14 days. It's exactly like if Europeans want to come to the United States, they have to quarantine for 14 days as well. But if you want to go, you can go. So we hope that this quarantine period will go away very soon. And now let's talk about your cabins, your staterooms. So that's the typical stateroom that you have on board the ship. So they are spacious, as I mentioned to you, and when we have less guests, but we have more space. So the average size of our staterooms on board the ship, the average is 235 square feet. So that's very large compared to the rest of the industry. And the idea is that you should be comfortable. Now, you see that we have the twin balconies. So not all our cabins have the twin balconies, but 80% of them have. And the twin balcony means the French balcony here, where you have a part inside, and you have the step-out balcony here. All ships are equipped for your, relaxed time in the stateroom. We have an entertainment center. These are 27-inch Macs that you can use as your computer, that you can use, as I said, entertainment center with video on demand, etc., etc. And it's all included. You don't have to pay for anything. Also, the Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is included for everybody. You have the possibility to hook up to 3 devices per stateroom, and you will see that's really practical when you have these little. I mean, this internet connection that is now very steady. We've been working on our Wi-Fi infrastructure over the past 3 years a lot. And when I say that, we have landlines, which nobody else has. And we have our own landlines everywhere we dock. We spent more money in 2018, in 2019, we spent more money on updating this Wi-Fi infrastructure than we spent on diesel, on gas for the entire fleet. So I can tell you that it's a few dollars there to make sure that the connection experience will be the best possible. Now, the food is very important. I mean, I told you that we have 2 different dining rooms on board the ship. So that's the second one. And I love this picture too, because this one is pre-COVID. And what do we see here? We see already that our cooks, that's a live cooking restaurant, and the chefs are already behind glass. If you look, there is a lot of space between the tables. And when I say that it's an intimate experience, you have space for 28 guests. This second dining venue is a tasting restaurant. So this means that you will have a lot of different courses, 9 courses now, very small portions, but absolutely everything prepared in front of you, absolutely beautiful. It's a wine paired dinner. So when I talk about the wine, of course, the drinks that are included for lunch and dinner, we have all the wines. We have beer, we have soft drinks, we have, so that's included at lunch and dinner. At breakfast, if you want some champagne, it is included as well. And then when we come back from excursions every day, so 1 hour before dinner, we have what we call sip and sail. So sip and sail, actually, we could have said it's an open bar, it's a cocktail hour. I mean, and we will sip even if we don't sail. And don't worry, I mean, the hour is there every day. It's just, I call it more the social hour. That's when everybody comes back from the different tours, which you will see in a few minutes. And you know, when you're with a group of friends, I mean, it doesn't mean that you all will go to the same tours every day. I mean, some will want to see this, some will want to see that. But then when you get back together, that's the moment, you know, you go back to the ship, you refresh a little bit, up, you go for your little cocktail or whatever. And you talk about what you've seen. What were the best, I mean, I don't know, what was the best shopping experience today? How was your hike when you climbed up to the top of the St. Stephen's Cathedral and did in Vienna and did this 569 steps? And I can tell you that it's very narrow. If you want to do that, I can give you some insights on, I mean, some infos on that. But you have a lot of different things that you will be able to discuss, and people love to do it. And it's very funny because that's also the moment where your cruise manager gives you an overview, a port talk. So the overview for the next day. So, and this has changed actually, Annette and Jamie, since you've been on the ship. Because what we used to do when we did that is that the cruise manager used to talk 15 minutes before dinner. The problem is that we've figured out, and you may have an answer, we did not really, but we figured out that after 45 minutes of having cocktails, people did not listen too much to what the cruise manager had to say. I mean, everybody was laughing a lot, that's for sure. But it changed a little bit, which is why we've decided now to put the cruise manager overview at the beginning of the cocktail hour, so that after that, everybody can enjoy their cocktails the way they like. But talking about the port talks, we should talk about the excursions. So the excursions are included. And when I say included, I'm not saying one excursion per day, like some others would say. I'm saying they are included when we have days like the Wachau Valley, where you can have a tour in the morning, a tour in the afternoon, and a tour in the evening. If you want to do the three, you have the three included. So don't worry about tours not being included here. You have what you want to go for, you will be able to attend. And one thing that is very important as well, we will talk in a few minutes about the check-in, about the payment time, etc., etc. We will just briefly talk about that. When you do a check-in online, and that happens everywhere nowadays, you can choose your excursions already 60 days prior to the cruise. I just said you can, and I really urge you not to feel rushed, okay? Because there is space for everyone. And the reason why I say that is that I've seen many times people coming and said, oh yeah, we booked this, we booked that. And then the first day of the cruise, your cruise manager will give you what we call a cruise overview. And he or she will go over all the tours that are offered this week. You will have it's in the main lounge. You will have a big screen with very nice descriptions and pictures. And oftentimes people come to the cruise manager and say, oh, I would like to change this and this and this and this and this, because they did not know what to expect. And of course, if there are tours that you know exactly, like you will be, I don't know, in the Wachau Valley, and you want to visit the Abbey of Melk because you've heard that this abbey is absolutely stunning, of course you will be able to book that. And it is absolutely stunning. But don't feel pressured to book ahead of time. We will have space for you. And we don't do like others, squeezing more people in one group. What we do is, if we have more people, we will hire another guide. That's how it works, so that everybody, you should have the best excursion experience possible. If you look at these people here, you see pretty much the entire group. We have now, because of COVID, the European authorities allow a maximum of 15 guests per group, per guide. And that's a great thing, not only for you as a guest, it's also a great thing for the guide, because the guide, I mean, I'm pretty sure you've seen going on tours, and sometimes you have a guide like her with the paddle, and you have like an army of 40 people behind her. And that's not necessarily her or him. And it's not necessarily very easy for the guide, especially when you're in crowded areas, because you must look if you have not lost anyone. When you have a smaller group, you're in control, and you also as a smaller group can see your guide much easier. The quality of the information is much higher, and you also have time to ask your questions. That's also important, because if you have 30, let's say that you have just 30 people in one group, we know that when people ask a question, just one, and the guide answers, it takes about 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes to answer a question, ask and answer a question properly. But if you think that 30 people would have a question, it lasts about an hour. And the tour, a walking tour, usually lasts about 1 hour and 15 or 1 hour and 20 minutes. So it would not leave you a lot of time for information. So that's why small groups are absolutely amazing. We have also different pace, because we know that not everybody walks at the same pace. So we have the gentle walking groups, we have the regular walking groups, we have the active walking groups. And on top of that, if you're really active, you want to do more, we also offer hikes and bike rides. So just one little thing about the bike rides. At Christmas time, you can imagine that it's a little cooler along the Danube. So the bike rides, we always ask our guides, our local guides, who are the bike guides, to check and tell us because sometimes it can be, I mean, if it freezes, it can be completely slick. So we don't want anybody to fall. So that's the only one where we check on really the day of, can we start the bike tour or not? But there is no limitation in terms of how many people. I've started many tours, maybe a gentle walking tour, an active hike, or a bike ride with one guest. The guides are here, so don't worry. The tour, if we can operate it, it will always operate. It will never be canceled because of not enough people. Now, I think we should go a little bit more on the Danube itself, and we will discover a little bit what these Christmas markets and these beautiful cities have to offer to us. So this tour, the iconic Christmas markets, is really going to take you from Budapest to the city of Nuremberg. Nuremberg, of course, in Germany. So after that, you will have a possibility of a post extension in Prague. So you really have quite a few countries that you will discover there. And when you start in Budapest, so which is right here on the bottom right, you have the possibility to start with 2 nights in Budapest. So if you want to, arrive, relax, beat the jet lag, you can totally do that. And then we will go the way up the Danube. So we will go in Hungary, we will go through Slovakia, we will go to Austria, and that's where we will spend a good deal of time, because we will be 3 days in Austria. And then we will continue our way to Passau, Regensburg, and then here on the Main-Danube Canal, we will finish our cruise in Nuremberg before potentially going to Prague. But now let's take a look at what we have. So you arrive in Budapest. So from the moment you arrive, from the moment you arrive, you will be greeted by our team at the airport. You will see there is always an AMA Waterways booth, and you will be greeted. So if you have your air booked with AMA Waterways, of course, we will transfer you to either the hotel or the ship, depending on what day you arrive. And those of you who have the air with AMA Waterways, from now on, we will not operate any coaches anymore. Everybody will be brought to the hotel or to the ship in private limousine. So of course it will be adapted to the size of your party. We were already doing that on all our French itineraries starting in Paris, but we've extended that everywhere. Actually, it fits very well with COVID and making sure that we minimize the contact with other people. So you will be escorted and you will arrive. Let's say you arrive at the hotel, and there will be your cruise manager welcoming you at the desk, making sure that everything is okay. And that's something very important, to have the cruise manager right there, because the cruise manager is there from the beginning of the pre-extension until the end of the post-extension. So you always have one person, one point of contact, not different people depending on everywhere we go. You will have the cruise manager with you all the time. I mean, all the time, not in your stateroom, don't worry. So we will arrive there. The cruise manager will welcome you. We will have a welcome reception, a welcome cocktail where everybody gets to know each other, and we talk about the program for the next day. And the next day, you will go and visit this beautiful city that is Budapest. So the part that you see here That's what we call the Fisherman's Bastion. So that's in Buda, so it's on the hilly side of Buda. And you will have the most beautiful view on the Pest side. So Pest is on the other side of the Danube, and it is the flat side. So you have two possibilities. Either you can do the tour that combines walking and bus, or you can do a hike, which is completely, and the hike takes you all the way up to this place. And that's a complete walking tour. So that's how it looks in winter. And so, yes, you can be ready for snow. December 9th, there is, so you would arrive December 9th, December 8th, depending. There is a very, very good chance that you will have snow at this time of the year. Temperature-wise, we are talking about, let's say mid 30s, sometimes 40s during the day. But let's say that we would be low to mid 30s. So that's for you to be ready. Not a lot of wind usually in Budapest, but I mean, you know how it is. When you have these temperatures, you want to be ready. And the good news in Budapest is that you have super shopping if something is missing. So views of Budapest. I mean, of course, the House of the Parliament, beautiful building, built in completed in 1896. And it's very, I mean, if you have been to London before, of course, you will see immediately the similarities with the House of the Parliament in London. So we show you these by night. So we have the tour of the city, but then when you embark the ship, we show you this by night because we want you to really be able to enjoy the city. It is very important to be able to see cities during the day and during the night. You can't do that on an ocean liner. On an ocean, except if you cruise with Azamara, that sometimes goes a little bit later out of the ports. But ocean liners actually usually don't stay overnight in ports. We stay in many places late in the evening so that you can enjoy it. But that's and we want you to see the city illuminated by night. It's absolutely superb. The Chain Bridge, that's the Royal Palace that you see there. So when we're talking about the different tours, because you might have a question about the duration, I mean, or the length in terms of distance of the tour. So the hike, if you choose to do the hike, the walking distance is approximately 3.5 miles. 4 miles if we take a little detour, which some guide like to ask the guests if they can walk a little bit longer. But it's 3.5 miles. You have approximately 100 steps to go up, and then of course 100 steps to go down again. So that's the size and the length for the hike. When it comes to the regular tour, you would be walking. I mean, you have 3 different stops where you have 2 of them where you can walk for about 10 minutes. And then the third one, which is at the Fisherman's Bastion, where there you have also some free time. So you walk for about 20, 25 minutes. So not long, not strenuous walks here in Budapest. And then we're here to talk about Christmas markets. So you will have the first of the 622 Christmas markets you will see this week. And trust me, I say this number because at the end, you will not even remember how many you've seen. So the Vörösmarty Christmas market, very nice, in the heart of the city, in the pedestrian zone. It's called Váci utca. And you will have all these locally made, I don't even know how to really describe them. I mean, but I mean, the craftsmanship here is very interesting. A lot of woodworks. You will have some different, very nice decoration, ladies. We will have a lot of Christmas ornaments, a lot of decorations, lots. I mean, a lot of different things made of wood, and many of them are made in front of you. This doesn't happen everywhere. But when we are in Budapest, when you are in Regensburg, and I will talk about Regensburg in a few minutes, and also in Prague, that's where you will see all these handcraft items. But after Budapest, we will arrive in another city, and there, that's not one Christmas market that you have. That's not 5. That's not 10. That's 22 Christmas markets that you have in Vienna. And they're all different. There is one Christmas market per district, and they all have a different theme. The one that you see here is actually the most famous one. Why? Because it's at the City Hall. That's a very big one. But you really have the one, you will be able to see quite a lot of them because we will stay in Vienna an entire day. You will have the city tour in the morning that will show you the medieval city of Vienna. So there's about 45 minutes bus riding, and then you start walking, and you will be in the old area of the Imperial Palace. That's where you have, for example, maybe you've heard of the Spanish riding school, where you have the Lipizzan horse. So these are these beautiful white horses. So you walk through there, and you go and you walk in the pedestrian area to discover this beautiful town. I mean, it's already a great town during the year, but at Christmas with the decorations, it's even nicer. You will discover the Christmas markets at the Twin Museums or at the Maria Theresienplatz. So Maria Theresia, that's the lady who was here, and the most powerful queen of the Habsburgs and the Habsburgs family, and you will hear about them all the time in Austria. And Maria Theresienplatz, and that's where you have the Twin Museum, the National History Museum here, and the Ethnographic Museum. Actually, this picture is taken from the roof, from the Ethnographic Museum. And you have another wonderful Christmas market. And actually, if you think about it, when you will be facing, and if you're taking notes, when you will be facing Maria Theresia, just go here to the left, okay? You walk to the left and you go right there. You see where it looks like a little carousel. That's where you have the best mulled wine in Vienna. Trust me, I've been there a few times. Now, and the reason why it's the best mulled wine in Vienna, because you might wonder why, is because this guy, he's a winemaker. The others, you know, when you're the mulled wine is very, very regulated in all these Christmas markets, but he is a winemaker and he makes his own mulled wine. There is not a ton of cinnamon like in the others, etc. You can really have it the way you like it. But I promise I'm not going to continue talking about wine. Now, other Christmas market, Schönbrunn Palace, and all these you will see in one day if you want to, because you have the tour in the morning, and then in the afternoon there is a Christmas markets tour that will take you to all these places. And if you want, you can also have free time, because of course I'm talking about guided tours. There is the possibility to do what you want. You're on vacation. Nobody forces you to go anywhere. If you decide that you want to do the tour in the morning and then maybe not even come back for lunch because you would like to eat a Viennese schnitzel, ask your cruise manager, ask the reception team. We will tell you where to go and have this Viennese schnitzel. I would send you to the Bettelstudent, which is a restaurant. It's completely hidden. It's actually, Bettelstudent means to the begging student. And it's an institution. It's been there for more than 150 years. And the gentleman who created it actually was one of the first kitchens for the students who did not have a lot of money in Vienna in the 1850s. And that's why it's called the begging student, because you could really eat a schnitzel made fresh every day for almost no money. And it's still, you go there nowadays, it is a beautiful place. But there are many others. So Schönbrunn Palace, summer residence of the Habsburgs, also has a beautiful zoo, has a beautiful carriage museum, but you will visit again this Christmas market that is in the gardens, absolutely beautiful. When the Habsburgs built Schönbrunn, you must also try to think about the timing. At the time, everybody, you don't see any fortresses anymore. All these strongholds that you had in the 13th, 14th, 15th century, they all disappear. If you look at it, with the building that you see there, has nothing to do with defense or attacking anybody. You called it palaces because by that time, all the cannons from the enemy armies could destroy castles. So there was no reason to show power by destruction. So you showed power by how rich you were, by how wonderful everything was, by how great your gardens were. And the idea for the Habsburgs was to build something greater than Versailles. The problem is that they ran out of money very quickly. So Schönbrunn is beautiful, but it's a smaller version of Versailles, but you will absolutely love it. Then we will leave Vienna. We will continue our way to Melk. And Melk, I was mentioning it a few minutes ago, if you noticed. And Melk is an abbey, and we don't talk too much about, there's no need to talk too much about religion, but the historical aspect of religion, the architectural aspect of religion, and what it has brought through history, that's super interesting. And here, Melk, when you think about this building that you see there, this building is already 300 years old. The first part of Melk is 930 years old. The abbey is still active. And for those of you who like reading, if you know a writer named Umberto Eco, Umberto Eco wrote a book called The Name of the Rose. There's even a movie, and it's called The Name of the Rose. It's with Sean Connery, and that's the first time where you see this Christian Slater as an actor. That's his first performance as an actor. That's a medieval thriller. And actually, the book was written by Umberto Eco as soon as after he visited Melk, and because he was absolutely amazed by what he had just seen. I mean, the richness of the ornaments, the combination of Baroque and Rococo style, and you can already see it on the facade. It's absolutely crazy. It is a beautiful, beautiful excursion. Everybody can go there. If you're a gentle walker, there is an elevator. You do not have to worry. Everything is flat. The walking distance is not that long. Even for our gentle walkers, we will take you very close to the main entrance. If you are active walkers, you can walk up from the ship to the Abbey. It will take you, and then you would have to go with the cruise manager. It takes about 15 minutes, but the others, they go in 10 minutes by bus. Beautiful morning in the Wachau Valley, where you really discover one of the most beautiful areas in Austria. And it's also one of the oldest inhabited areas of Austria. You will pass during the cruising a little village called Willendorf. And Willendorf, if you don't know about it, I mean, you pass on the river and you're like, okay, well, that's a village. That's actually, there is a statue. It's called the Venus of Willendorf. It is in the National History Museum in Vienna. And you have there a pagan statue that has been carved 27,000 years ago. So we know that this area has been here and inhabited for a very long time because it was very fertile. So beautiful place that you will see for sure when you go to see Melk. But that's not, of course, the only thing. You don't only go to visit the city. There is also a bike tour. I mean, the bike tour again, if the weather allows it. And we will take you along the Danube and through the little village of Melk, about 11 miles. Beautiful. You have 2 little hills going up, not too difficult. All our bikes. So we have, by the way, I did not talk about the bikes because we have them on board the ship. We have 25 bikes. We have 3 different sizes of bikes. We even have kids' bikes. So if somebody wants to go with the family, we have connecting cabins. So we can really adapt. And Christmas time is the perfect time to go with the entire family. So the bike tour, 11 miles, and then you come back to the ship and you continue cruising. And it's absolutely beautiful. And then we make our way towards Passau. So when we're in Passau, we say goodbye to Austria. And Passau is known as the city of the 3 rivers. And look, one here, okay, that's the river Ilz. This one here, where you have our Ama Prima, another sister ship of the Amazonata, that's the Danube River. And if you look here on the lower corner on the left, that's the 3rd river. It's called the Inn River. And we will stay in Passau. You will visit this beautiful medieval city. There is the possibility of taking a hike to the Weste Oberhaus, which is the name of this fortress up there. And you will visit, of course, the Christmas market in Passau, which is just in front of the cathedral. I know that I just talked about the Abbey, but if you want to see what is, to my mind, the most beautiful example of Baroque architecture, enter the Cathedral of Passau. Not only is it beautiful for the 16 different types of marbles that are used in there, but also it has an organ that is, and I will not describe it to you. If you want to Google it, do it, but I would not recommend that. You need to go in this cathedral to see it. It is the largest pipe organ, the largest church organ in the world. 31,000 pipes. I mean, 31,683 to be precise. And I did not make up this number. It's really that, and it is so gigantic that the pipes actually, the organ is separated in 3 parts, and the 3rd part is in the ceiling of the cathedral. It is simply magnificent, and you come out of there and you have this beautiful Christmas market, very small, not tourist. I mean, that's the beauty of these Christmas markets. They are not touristy. You will go there and you will walk around. You can stop right there, have a little glass of mulled wine, and continue. Or sometimes you will smell a little something, I don't know, some cheese that will be on a little piece of bread that they're just making right in front of you, and you just walk around and you just enjoy your time. It is absolutely beautiful. And the ornaments, the decorations that you have there, the work that is put just to have to prepare this booth. You see, I mean, they built it like 2 weeks before. It's absolutely superb everywhere you go. And that's the Cathedral of Passau. That's how Passau looks like. Passau is an amazing city, but it's also a city that has suffered a lot, not with destructions of World War II or anything like that. Nope. Because here you have the Danube and here you have the Inn. And so the Inn comes directly from the Alps, the Danube comes directly from the Black Forest. And when these two decide, I mean, when there is a lot of rain and if they start flooding, which never happens, of course, in winter, but in summer, the last time it happened was in 2013. And I was there, so I can tell you it was, you see at the bottom of this picture, the ship, then you see the first floor, and you see the second floor. But the water was right there at the second floor. It was the highest, the biggest flood in 500 years. The last one, and you will see, your guides take you there. They take you to the city hall, and there is actually the scale. There is a line on the wall of the city hall that shows all the floods in the past 700 years. And you will see that the one in 2013 is the second highest in all these times, and the other one is just like, I don't know, 2 inches up, 2 inches higher, but beautiful place. And then when you're in Passau, we will not just visit the city of Passau. If you want, we will, I mean, you have the possibility to visit Salzburg. And in Salzburg, you will visit also the most beautiful Christmas markets. You will hear a lot about Mozart, of course. You will hear about the Sound of Music, of course, because you pass through Mondsee to the Salzkammergut, which is the Austrian Lake District. And you see all these houses like this, everything looks like that. It's simply magnificent, spending a day. So you have about an hour and a half bus ride each way, but it is simply beautiful to walk. And you see these Austrian lakes. That's the city at the end. And so that's by the end of the day. So when I say end of the day, it's not taken late. And that's about 3:30 in the afternoon. But I mean, because you're in the mountains, and especially at the end of December, you will be, when you do this cruise, you will be only 1 week away from the shortest day of the year. So it will be pitch dark at 4, that's for sure. So that's why you will get to enjoy that. It is superb. The entire city it's a very white city. Everything is very white there. Even the Hohen Salzburg fortress, which dominates the entire city. And it's superb. And you have 2 Christmas markets, one downtown, and then another one that is very famous for the Advent calendar, and it's called Hellbrunn. And Hellbrunn, you see, the Advent calendar is this gigantic house, and every day you see you have the date, and every day there is a different picture that is opening to the public. So we will take you to Hellbrunn as well, so that you can enjoy this area. But then we come to so of course I think you've understood that Vienna is a place I love, but when it comes to Christmas market, Regensburg is my favorite. Regensburg is my favorite because you have, again, 2 different Christmas markets. So the one that you see here is the main one, which is in the heart of the city. Regensburg, absolutely beautiful because it was not bombarded. So you have all the buildings. The oldest church windows in Regensburg are over 1,000 years old. And you have all these the Carmelite convent. The city itself is still a medieval city. So you have these very narrow streets that go everywhere. You have half-timbered houses everywhere. And you arrive at the main square at the Christmas market. That's another view of it. Same Christmas market with the church in the middle. But that's not even my favorite Christmas market. Actually, I just made a mistake. This is the Turn and Taxis Christmas market. The Turn and Taxis Christmas market is in the St. Emmeram Castle. It's privately owned, and that's why actually we're the only ones going there. No other cruise line goes there because there is an entrance fee. But of course, we include that. That's where you have, to my opinion, the most beautiful booth and the most beautiful works that you have everywhere. Craftsmanship of every kind, and not only carving, woodworks, etc. Even food. For example, you want a smoked salmon. I mean, I'm not sure that you would take it with you to the ship, but they smoke the salmon just in front of you. You have these Norwegians. They're here. I mean, you have several booths with different nations coming from the European Union, and they do that. You have a ton of different of different collections. I mean, you will have clothes made. I mean, also made. I mean, actually to order. So they ask you, are you here for 1 day, 1 week? If you're there for a week, they will make the piece of clothes that you want that is made of alpaca. And you will just pick it up. It's a beautiful place. That's the outside of the castle. okay? And you walk around. It's very quiet. That's the good thing. You have to pay, so there's not a ton of people in there. It's very quiet. You have some very nice music. They call it actually the most romantic Christmas market in Germany. And that's the inside. That's the inside courtyard. So really beautiful. Again, it's like a little maze, and you walk all around it. You can spend the entire afternoon there. It is truly a beautiful, beautiful Christmas market. But then you have another one to see, because you're not done. I mean, and I'm sure that you have. I don't know if you have counted, but we've been through a few already. But you still have to know and to meet the oldest Christmas market of all. And that's so. And by the way, so that's another view on Regensburg. So when I tell you that it's a medieval city, you see you have the old towers and the Danube right here again. I mean, beautiful. There's also a restaurant. You would have to go there. It's right at this old bridge. It's the oldest. It's called the Sausage Kitchen. It's been here for more than 700 years. When you go there, you don't have to worry about many things because there's only one dish. That's sausage and sauerkraut. That's it. And the sausage. So you can even order 12 or 24 of them. And everybody, when they hear these numbers, everybody is scared by the numbers. But don't worry, because when we call about the Regensburger sausages, they are that big. So they're approximately 2 inches. So it's one bite and you have the sausage. But absolutely beautiful, beautiful place to visit. And then we will be cruising on this Main-Danube Canal. And I told you, the Main-Danube Canal it's man-made. The project as we finished, the project that you see finished now, that you will see when you're cruising on it, was started in the 1930s and it was completed in 1992. And it's such the German people, and they should be, are so proud of this Main-Danube Canal, because if you look at the nature around it, they made it respecting nature. They didn't want to make a scar. They made it really, I mean, they used materials and you will learn about all this. There is actually a gentleman who is a lecturer who will give you a lecture on the construction of the Main-Danube Canal, because it is really worth learning about it. You will see the locks. That's where you will be in the tallest locks, 70 feet lift or going down at a time. And you will see that the Germans have they're masters of engineering. They save 60% of the water every time, so you don't lose water, because the water is pumped at night in giant lakes to make sure that this canal always have enough water. But we will be arriving, when we cruise through the canal, to Nuremberg. Nuremberg, that's where you have the so-called Christkindlmarkt. So the Christkindlmarkt, Christkindl means the little child, the little baby Jesus, basically. And that's the oldest one. It's one of the larger ones. It's beautiful because of the setting. I mean, you have the old church here. You see this, the mechanism here of the clock is 710 years old, and it still works. So that's when I tell you that when they build for longevity, they build for longevity. 700 years. I mean, I don't know that my watch will still work, my Apple Watch, in 700 years. We'll see. So you will so when we arrive in Nuremberg, the harbor of Nuremberg is just a little bit outside the city. So it will take us about 15, 20 minutes to arrive at the heart of the city. And actually, it's a great ride, these 20 minutes, because Nuremberg, of course, is a medieval town. It's a beautiful medieval town, but it's also very famous for what? For the Nuremberg trials. And you will learn about these, because of course it's a beautiful town, but there are parts of history that we should not forget, and you will learn about that as well. That's where you have the Reichsparteitag and this huge Colosseum that Hitler had built, where he was doing these huge meetings. You will get to see that on the way. And then we go back in the fairy tale world of the Christmas markets, and that's what you would see. So you see, I love this place here. They call it the Beautiful Fountain. I mean, actually, it's the name. They did not make it too complicated, but that's the meeting point, the Beautiful Fountain, and you can just walk around. And this Christmas market goes really all over the old town. It's a really great place. And if you want to know some places where to eat, because there is a big competition actually between Regensburg and the Regensburg sausage versus Nuremberg and the Nuremberg sausage. So you can try both of them in 2 days in a row. So if you want to do that, that's also a possibility. And your guides show you all this, of course. But the cruise manager is always around. The cruise manager just pops up somewhere, so to make sure that everything is fine. another view on Nuremberg. And when I told you it's a medieval city, that's where we will disembark our ship. And if you decide to go on a post-cruise extension, we will take you to Prague. But before stopping in Prague, we will go to a city called Pilsen. Pilsen, I mean, you may not have heard of it, but actually, if you like beer, you might have heard of it. Because have you ever heard of a Pils beer? If you heard of a Pils beer, think about it, Pilsen, Pils. That's where it comes from. And we will stop there. It's a beautiful town. They have a nice little Christmas market that is actually just outside. That's the main square. But just, you know, when you have the drive from Nuremberg to Prague, it takes approximately 3.5 hours drive. So 4.5 hours. So we drive 2 hours first, go to Pilsen, we have time for lunch, and then we continue in the afternoon and we arrive in Prague. So Prague, I think that says it all. I mean, when you look at Our Lady After Tin, which is for me one of the most beautiful churches that I've ever seen from the outside, and you're in the old town square, our hotels are located maximum, if you really take your time, 10 minutes walk from this very spot. And you will have, of course, I mean, when you do a post-cruise extension, you will have also a city tour of Prague. There is a possible visit to the former convent, so again, and not necessarily the nicest part of history, but has to be mentioned. There is the possibility to visit Terezin, which is a former concentration camp, which actually was called a work camp, but it's not really that, because if you look really at the history books, and you will learn there, this was the preparation camp to Auschwitz. So it was something, I mean, I've visited probably 15 times, and it's bone chilling every time. It's not necessarily the most fun thing, but something that in terms of history should definitely be learned and not forgotten. But you have also a folklore show, a folklore dinner and show that are offered to you in Prague. But really just a few pictures at this beautiful city, the Charles Bridge here. So you will walk over the Charles Bridge. And then of course you will visit the Prague Castle. So you can go from the hotel, you can hike all the way up there, and then walk back down. The Prague Castle is the largest castle complex in the world. And then we have for the Christmas market in Prague at the old town square. So this is here the old city hall, but where you have the astronomical clock, also dating back to, I mean, it has been working for more than 600 years, this one. So there are a few astronomical clocks still working in the world, and you will see the one in Prague that was renovated 2 years ago, looks like brand new. And the last picture on Our Lady After Tin and the Prague Christmas market. So now I would say, you see, as we prepare to go, I think I will first of all open to questions and answer, but I will also let Annette and Jamie talk about what offers we have for this beautiful group. Oops, I went too far. So there we go. Annette, Jamie, can you talk?
Annette, are you unmuted?
Yes.
Yes, I am now. Okay. All right, let me see if I can find my sheet here. So right now, AMA Waterways has what they call a holiday gift promotion, and it's applicable to any of the staterooms on board this ship that have the twin balconies, which Sebastian had showed a picture of earlier, which is the part that has the French balcony, but then you also have a balcony where you can go out and have 2 seats that you could actually sit down on, and if you wanted to. And that promotion is ends at the end of October. And with that promotion, there's a $1,000 per person discount off of the cabin, $100 onboard credit for the cabin, and then a complimentary cabin upgrade to a similar cabin type. So I know you guys haven't really seen all the different cabins, but let's just say you booked a category BB, there was a BA available, you'd be upgraded to the BA at the same price if it was available. So that's really a wonderful deal. And I know that we're talking about a 2022 cruise, and so it might seem a bit early to be working on this, but when you get into consideration the fact that the ship itself only has 162 passengers on it, which means there's only 81 cabins on there, it can fill up very quickly. And it's a specialty cruise because it only sails from Thanksgiving to Christmas. You've got such a short season and market, and this is a big deal for a lot of people. It's on their bucket list. So the beauty of Christmas market cruise is that you get everything you would through a regular river cruise at any other time of the year, but then you have the extra added beauty and magic. I mean, we think it's magical to have the Christmas markets to go to. And not everyone has to go to every one. Sometimes you might want to visit one or two. There's a lot of really wonderful mom and pop stores in those areas as well that you might be able to go in and just kind of get the local flavor of the area and what they have to offer. We also have what we call a group launch special. And so if anyone knows they want to go and they're ready to book by the 24th of this month, then we're able to offer an additional $200 off a cabin. If anyone knows that they want to book from this Friday to the Monday, October 5th, then we can offer another $100 off of a cabin. And then we've got some group amenities that we're going to be able to add as well. So we have put together a document that has all of the information in there, along with details about the ship, the itinerary, all the tours, the cabin sizes, what they look like. And so we'll be emailing that all out to everybody tomorrow. I think it'd be helpful for everybody to really kind of be able to look over the whole thing, because you got a lot of information tonight, and we thought maybe that would be helpful. Does anybody have any questions about anything that Sebastian talked about, or?
Yes.
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 Go ahead.
I heard him mention children. Children are allowed to sail on this ship?
Yes, children are allowed to sail on the ship. Yes.
How
Is there a particular age limit?
There is an age limit. There is an age limit. I mean, we first of all, for safety reasons, you will not ever see a kid that is below 5 years of age. But we do not recommend under 8. And when we say children, I mean you know, like me, when you look at the price tag, that's you won't see a lot of people bringing young children, because they want the kids to be able to enjoy that. And for that, I said they are allowed. I mean, why would we forbid kids to cruise? But what happens is that we have a partnership with Disney, and on specific dates which have nothing to do with yours, Adventures by Disney charter the ship, and then you have basically these are more kids oriented cruises, because also the tours, you know, are not they are more designed for adults. I mean, again, a river cruise ship is not an ocean liner. You won't have the slides and all the thing like this. So yes, there are sometimes kids, but trust me, from all my experience with the kids on board the ship, the kids have always behaved better than adults.
Also forgot to mention that the nice thing about planning for something like this early is that the final payment is about 90 days prior to the sail date of the cruise itself. And so people have almost just about 2 years to either put money away each month or to make payments with us towards the cost of the cruise itself. So
yeah, and when you do, because there's also something, 2022 is a very smart date, because we must also think about something, is that everybody who was supposed to cruise in 2020, we have approximately 65% of the guests who have basically moved to 2021. So 2021 looks like a super, I mean, that doesn't look like it will be a very successful season, but it's not because of new bookings. It's because of many people have shifted basically from 2020 to 2021. So the inventory is also very limited. But this means there's a reason why we've opened 2022 already, is because we know that people now will start booking that. The typical, you know, the typical window, the booking window is 14 to 18 months prior. So it is a good thing to have 2022. Plus, if you decide to join us, to join Annette, to join Jamie, I mean, what basically the deposit now, it's $400 a person, and after that, as Annette just mentioned, then you have pretty much 2 years to go to do the final payment, and the final payment, that's something that they can talk to you about. You know, I mean, if you want to pay everything at once, if you do every month, every 2 months, every 6 months, I don't know. I mean, that's really up to you. We are very flexible with that. Do we have other questions?
I
Who
think
wants
we've
to
got
go?
something in the chat here. Hang on one second. It's Mike Monroe's asking about pricing information and steps for register. Okay, yep, that'll all come to you tomorrow, Mike. But then he also asked about flight information for arrival and departure cities. Airfare typically is not available until about 330 days prior to. So that'd be something that we would have to talk about later, like the exact itineraries and pricing for that. But Sebastian, the cruise itself ends in Nuremberg, and do most guests who take that itinerary, do they fly out of Nuremberg or do they head to Frankfurt or Munich?
Well, it's both. I mean, it's either or, because I mean, the reality, Nuremberg, Nuremberg is a regional airport. So you would, depending on where you fly and the airline that you use, you would fly to Frankfurt, you would fly to Amsterdam. I mean, that depends a lot. And it's the same thing if the guests decide to go to Prague, because Prague is also, there's only one airline. As far as I know, it's American Airlines that flies straight to the United States from Prague, but all the rest is regional. And then the big hubs, as you said, Munich, Frankfurt, Amsterdam, Paris, London.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Right. Anybody else think of anything? And by the way, my husband texted me and he goes, "What do you have on your head?" So I just, you know, it's like a little Christmas headband with like little elf ears and a little elf hat. So I don't know if it really translates across the screen, but I didn't go put anything in, John. I was trying to get in the Christmas spirit.
Not as strange.
I got it.
I got it.
Maybe.
That's why I said when I saw that you too. I mean, we also see the virtual one from Jamie.
Yes.
That's why I said great, looking great, ladies, when I was talking.
All right, Jamie, on to
Are there
you.
any other questions?
I don't see anything else.
All right, well, we are doing one final shebang because we were so happy that you all spent this evening with us so far. And I know you want to get on with your evening, but we want to do a giveaway. And what we have to give away is a version of this. We love these. These are exclusive Ama scarves. And I don't know if you can tell, I won't do a whole entire fashion show, but it can be a shawl, it can be a scarf. They're very fashionable. They're very sought after, believe me. And they're warm enough, even in that kind of weather, because we were there in March and some mornings it was in the 30s. And it's also cool enough when you need it to be just a cool wrap to have on the plane when you're traveling. So we're going to give away one. So I have got everybody that's on, and I'm going to pick one. I'm closing my eyes. Everybody got a drum roll? Let's see. It is Elaine LaBalbo.
Oh,
You want to see?
and Elaine
And
wears
I just-
scarves. So she's a great.
Just one little thing. I saw a question also. Will this recording be available to share with other friends? Yes, I will. Annette and Jamie will have it for you to use tomorrow. So absolutely, because I know it's a lot of information. So if you want to have, if you want friends to go with you, I mean, of course we will give you the recording. Absolutely.
Perfect.
And we're going to follow up with you all that we know we're on the call tomorrow. Unless you want us to reach out to you tonight, just let us know. But we're going to follow up with the sheets that Annette talked about, but also we have just an average of what we think the cost could be for an average cabin. We took a stab at what the flights could be, what the transfers could be, that kind of thing. So we'll talk that over with you individually because I think it'll make more sense. So we look forward to talking to you.
Yeah.
Thank
So I'm
you.
gonna wrap
Yeah.
everything up and just tell everyone a big, huge thank you for joining us tonight, because we are appreciative of your time. I know you had other things that you could have done, but we're glad that you were here with us. We hope so much that you enjoyed learning about AMA Waterways, all of their you know, offerings and about Christmas market cruise. And certainly if you have any questions, like Jamie said, we would really love to hear from you. And if you're not interested in a Christmas cruise, there are tulip time cruises, there are wine specialty cruises, there are all kinds of different things that AMA does and offers. I've done 2 river cruises. I did one in March, as I mentioned with Jamie, on the Danube, and then my husband and I did a Rhine cruise in the summer, and you know, both really beautiful. Since I live in Florida and it's so hot here, I kind of actually prefer to go when the weather is cooler, because I think it's a really nice change and a different dimension to the travel. But if you're, you know, if you're looking for something outside of a Christmas market cruise, we're here for all of that information for you as well. AMA has great itineraries all over the rivers, as Sebastian said earlier on. So we'll follow up with our emails and send everything out to you. I'm going to put our contact information in the chat box. It's also come to you in the email tomorrow, but if you want a copy out of there, you certainly can do that this evening. So I just want to say thank you, everybody, so much. Have a great evening.
Bye. Merry
Bye.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, and thank you for the nice
Thanks,
comments. Thank you so
Sebastian.
much.
Thank you, Sebastian.
Thank you, Sebastian.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.